Hey guys, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell to be updated every time I make a new video. Thanks, let's begin. The self-aware and meta features the self-aware and meta. How trippy. Scream 2. This is the 1997 sequel to the 1996 colossal hit that was Scream, both of which were directed by Wes Craven. Make sure to check out my previous review for Scream, which you can check out up here or whatever, or wherever I decide to put it. Moving on, the plot! Sidney Prescott just wants to move on with her life. However, when people start dying with similar names to the first movie's victims, it becomes a race against time, when the killer runs out of the similarly slain, and sets their eyes on Sidney, Gale, Dewey, and Randy, the survivors from the first movie. Who will make it out this time? It's a bit of the same, and it knows that, but it does try to do much more than what it could have done, which is be a cash grab. This movie is big in scale. Much more than the first one. We start off with a couple of murders at a movie theater, and then we move on to a college campus, which features sorority sluts, stage play madness, and a bleating broadcast station. And hell, this one even features one heck of a car stunt. I do like that the spectacle does not overtake the story or its motive, though. We think we know what we're here for, and the movie preys upon that. It relishes the fact that it's a sequel, and plays by sequel rules. And yet it's meta with title drops from other movies, and cliche mentions, just like the first film. It's bigger, bloodier, and bolder. For the characters, we have Sidney Prescott, played yet again by Neve Campbell. She is, as I said before, done with all the publicity and harassment that she's been getting from the past movie's events.
Who is this? You tell me. Corey Gillis, 555-0176. Shit.
It's not just about her mother anymore. She gets to grow as a character and doesn't come across as much of her former self. Hell, she's downright cold in a couple of scenes. But her bitterness is warranted. Gale Weathers, played yet again by Courtney Cox, returns to her roots. She has learned literally nothing from the last movie's events. That is, until everything goes wrong and she actually grows as a character. She doesn't want people to die. Not that she did in the first place. It's just that this time she sees the errors of her ways, and just wants to find the monsters that are responsible.
Is this just another brilliant Gale Weathers performance?
There are no cameras here. I just want to find this fucker!
Dewey, played by David Arquette, is there to make sure that Sid is okay and to stop the killer. He's genuinely worried and attentive and focused on the issue at hand. No longer is he a dorky, doofus, bumbling cop, but rather a vital part of the investigation. He still has his charm, though. Randy, played by Jamie Kennedy, is also here to spot more movie logic and trivia that is relevant to the case. He does seem to have deeper layers this time around, though, than the first. At first, he doesn't take the two murders seriously, because he's probably fed up with everything. However, when shit goes south, he snaps right back into that investigative, nerdy type that we loved watching so much in the first movie. That's it for the original main characters returning. There are a lot of other characters here as well, though. Cotton Weary, who had a small cameo in the first one, who was just on the TV, played by Liev Schreiber from The Omen 2006, the remake that sucks. He is the guy who wants to get something out of being wrongly convicted. It's pretty understanding given his reputation has just been ruined. However, he does come across as a bit of a creep, if not a bit loony, in most of his scenes.
There's been enough exposure. Why would you want any more?
Why? Oh, I don't know, Sydney. I don't know. Maybe because I fucking deserve a little exposure?
Derek, played by Jerry O'Connell from Piranha 2010. Actually, in Piranha, he played a guy named Derek. Small casting choice? Totally opposite characters. He's Sydney's loving boyfriend. He is pretty much suspect numero uno. But it was pretty stereotypical, and I'm glad the way his character was handled for the most part. The little song number was sweet, but undeniably out of place and cringy. That, accompanied with the stage play that Sydney does, they both feel out of place. The stage is set, yet it feels like an afterthought. Like, oh, this would be cool. Although, the David Warner from The Omen 1976, the Good Omen movie that's titled The Omen, and Waxwork, his cameo was great. It's too bad Leave and David didn't share any scenes together. I mean, it wouldn't have been meta given the fact that The Omen 2006 came out 9 years after this movie, but it would have been interesting. Other small parts worth noting are Cece, played by Sarah Michelle Gellar from I Know What You Did Last Summer, and The Grudge 2004, the American version remake. Mickey, played by Timothy Oliphant, or Oliphant from Live Free or Die Hard and The Crazies 2010. And Debbie Salt, played by Laurie Metcalf, Andy's mom in the Toy Story movies, which I thought was pretty funny. I actually made that connection when I saw it as listed on the IMDb pages. I was like, oh yeah, I can hear it now. So we've got a large cast of characters here. The biggest and most important questions are if they are needed, and if so, are they well written enough to be memorable? I'd say kind of yes, but mostly no. Besides our main trio, Randy, and Cotton, no one has really any time to grow or shine as a character. Not even the killers, which the reveal is pretty underwhelming. And has been there, done that kind of thing. They even mention that. Whether it's the media, news, or other horror movies, it's been done. The rest of the characters are treated as cameos or plot conveniences. The two bumbling cops have maybe 3 or 4 lines between the two of them. Their actions make them look incompetent, yet serious. And then, when they finally do speak, it's a quote from a movie. Here were 2 prime examples of characters that could have been so much more. And then there's Cece, who is dating a guy with a drinking problem. Now, the guy is never seen or heard from, but maybe instead of having her babysit the sorority, have a bruise on her face and she's expecting her boyfriend to call and say he's sorry. It'd make the character more tragic, as well as give the killer something to pick on. Instead, Tim is just a guy she knows and just trying to distance herself from. That's a problem. When you have minor characters that are played by cameos, they are usually hastily done and shoehorned into the script. Jada Pinkett Smith didn't like scary movies. How original and thought-provoking.
I am not going back in there.
Come on, you chicken shit. It's just a movie.
No, it's not just a movie. It's a true story.
Oh, how she doesn't like how black people are portrayed in horror movies. First off, I'll get you a tissue. Secondly, that's not as progressive as you might think. Especially because it's still being done today, to some degree. And guess what? Not a single black person actually died in real life. Nor did their death in the movie scar anyone legitimately in real life. Even Jerry O'Connell doesn't have to have an arc or anything. He's just a stereotypical perfect boyfriend, with a couple of off-putting gestures to make him act like a red herring. Okay, so a majority of the characters are sucky, however there are a couple of other positives that amplify and even outdo the first movie to some degree. Those are being the gore, the effects. While the college setting isn't anything particularly new, it does leave some room for carnage candy. We get gushy stabbings galore, a slashed throat, a pull through someone's head. Highlight kill for sure. There's a knife to the side of the head, and some bloody bullet hits. This is definitely bloodier than the first. And KMB Effects, who did do the effects for the first movie as well, did return and they spill blood for sure. Also, I feel the effects are better here. The blood is more rich and plentiful, and the savagery of the stabbings feel painful and intense. Much like the opening to the first movie, the first 2 kills, mainly the woman, make you feel sad. The first movie still wins because the victim's parents are right there in arm's reach, but she can't scream for them. But being surrounded by a whole bunch of people who do not seem to care and think it's all just a stunt is pretty depressing. These are the gut punches that get the movie going. The motion picture soundtrack, Marco Beltrami, who also composed Resident Evil 2002, Blade 2, Hellboy, and The Omen 2006. There's that movie again. Returns from the first movie to compose a bigger and grander score than the OG. He doesn't really use the sound effects from the first movie, like that whale sound that would appear in a lot of other forms of entertainment.
This is the most horrific event this town has ever seen.
Instead, he opts to bring in more of a choir and emotion to the themes. There's still the traditional violin work and build-up that's not overdone so much as placed gently within the rest of the instruments. Overall, this is not a bad sequel, like, at all. I still do find the characters better and less bloated in terms of the amount in the first. However, there's a genuine sense of passion to this franchise, and I don't think Wes wanted to make this many characters. Maybe he did, but I feel the studio interference didn't let him flesh them out as much as he would probably wanted to. It's a bit too long, maybe, and I don't know, it flies by, but it's 2 hours long. There are some unneeded filler, but that's time could have been used more productively, but it doesn't affect the pacing too bad. Scream 2 is a bloodier, sleeker, and grand sequel to the first, but in that, it loses some of the charm and charisma the first one had. I'd still say check it out. It just may be the best college campus slasher flick ever made. Maybe. Overall, I give Scream 2 a 3.5 out of 5. Hey guys, just giving the usual shoutouts to my Patreon supporters. If you would like to support me on Patreon or join the channel as a member, the link to my Patreon is in the description below. If you want to join the channel as a member, hit the join button under the video. Both have similar perks. You'll get early access to videos, shoutouts, as well as even some collaborations depending on how much you give a month. Join us. Alright, let's get into it. But if you don't want to support me with any money, just hit that notification bell to be notified every time I make a new video, and as always, subscribe.